After a keynote recently, I was approached by a CEO, and he had a little bit of a perplexed look on his face and asked me, Art, do you help companies with strategy work at all? And I do that, so I asked him what his challenges were. And he said, I've got a good management team, but every time the topic of strategy comes up, we seem to head in opposite directions. People want to talk about tactics and operational issues. A couple shy away from the topic completely. It's just we're not making any progress, yet we really do have to make some profound changes in our business. Our markets are changing, our industry is changing, our customer needs are changing, and we need to all be on the same page about strategy. Well, my CEO friend isn't alone in that particular dilemma. For whatever reason, when the topic comes up, management teams that haven't been through a lot of strategy work before tend to struggle, and they react just as the individual described. They may view it as politically, some view it as, oh no, things are going to change. Some view it as it's a win or lose scenario. Others recognize that it will change perhaps where the company is investing, and that could affect their pet projects and challenges. So for whatever the reasons, management teams struggle sometimes to get on the same page about strategy. So I'm going to share with you 3 simple but not simplistic approaches that you can use immediately to help your team better align on this topic of strategy. The first one, give them some pre-work to stimulate critical thinking. Here's a simple exercise. I've used it many times before to great success. Split the team up depending upon the size. I like to partner people up with individuals they don't normally work with every day. So you might put engineering and marketing together, cats and dogs living in the same place, and send them out to look for a company way outside of your industry that's doing some really interesting things, and study that company and come back and be prepared to give a little update on how that company's innovating, how it's succeeding, what it's doing so great, and maybe identify some of the ideas that you might be able to think about in your own organization. So you have 2, 3, sometimes 4 teams that are going out doing that ahead of time. It's non-threatening. They're not thinking about their business, about their budgets. You have the benefit of really jump-starting critical thinking. At the beginning of the strategy process, you've got people looking at the outside, which is often one of the challenges. It's just a great way to diffuse some of the tension, get people involved, and begin to start some of the creative thinking that will be so critical later in the strategy process. And that word process is critical, so that goes to number 2. Instead of an event, instead of the dreaded strategy offsite once a year that everybody knows you're going to go away, lock yourselves in a room, generate a wall of flip charts, generate some PowerPoint content, come back and nothing will change. Position strategy as an ongoing process. You need, as CEO, to begin building strategy into the operating cadence of your company. And it's something that I work with clients a great deal to help them do. It's a process of ongoing refresh and updating and evaluating how strategy is working. And it's separate and distinct from the operating processes. So let your executives know that from this point forward, it's going to be a regular part of the business. A few enlightened CEOs have actually gone ahead and made, involvement in strategy and leadership in the strategy process a critical part of their scorecards and how they evaluate their team members. The third technique is really a nice one, and it has, again, multiple benefits, and that is involve a number of subject matter experts from each of the different departments. Better yet, let the executives choose who they're going to use in the process. Bring in valued individual contributors, bring in some of the team leads. Obviously, you have to constrain the size a little bit, but this has a benefit of getting everybody invested in the process. You're of course going to need these individuals once you're forming and framing the strategy to take it and bring it to life. And you know what's interesting? Executives tend to cooperate and collaborate a little bit better when their team members are around and they're on the spot to show leadership. So really, 3 simple but not simplistic techniques to solve our CEO problem, to help your management team align and get going on the good work of strategy. These are just 3 of the tools that I use with management teams. If you've liked what you've heard, give me a call or drop me a note, and I'd be happy to talk about helping you getting your team on the same page for strategy. My experience is that it's often very foreign ground, it's unfamiliar territory. people show up in that role, and while they've been successful as great contributors and great functional leaders before, it's a whole new playing field and they don't necessarily understand the rules of the game.